Hey everybody, and welcome back to our Between the Pages series that we're doing right now. What we're doing is we're taking different books from different authors that are well known throughout the nation and throughout the world, and we're diving deep into some of those books. Right now we're doing Steven Furtick's book, Unqualified. Those of you that don't know who that is, Pastor Steven Furtick is pastor of Elevation Church, has done a wonderful job there and is one of the premier speakers and ministers of the gospel in today's society. My name is Aaron Argo. I am the youth and music pastor here at First Assembly of God in Clanton, Alabama, and we're so glad that you've joined with us today. This is an ongoing series. I invite you to go back and look at what we've done previously and see what we've done before, because everything sort of builds on top of each other. But we want to start today with Changing Change, chapter 8 of his book, Unqualified. And I want to start off with a question for you, as I normally do. What is something that you would change about the way that you look? Now, everybody in today's society has got something that they want to change. They want to change the way their weight, they want to change their height, they want to change their eye color, they want to change their hair color, all these kind of things. Listen, there is one in particular, or actually two in particular things that I really want to change in my life, and neither one of them I can control. Number one, I would love to be about 6'2". I'm not. I'm about 5'8", 5'8.5". My son, who is 15 years old, is so much taller than me already, and he is a football player at Chilton County High School. My daughter, she got the short gene from me and my mother. My mother is probably around 5 foot, somewhere around there. I'm 5'8", 5'8.5", and then my son is just about 6 foot at 15 years old. I would love to be about 6'2", but that ain't going to happen. Another thing that I would love to change about me is this right here. I would love to be able to grow a full beard. I look around and you've got the beard wars with all the youth pastors and all the pastors now, where some of them got it way down here, some of them got the pointed thing going on. They've got all the big fluffy things. There's a good friend of ours named Garrison Strahan. Hey Garrison, who showed me a lot about the video stuff. He has actually got this full bushy mountain beard, and I wish that I could grow something like that, but it's just not in me. I don't have those kind of things. What is something that you would like to change about yourself? You can go in the comments down below and sort of take a look and maybe type in what you would want to change about yourself or maybe about your spouse. You may not want to go there, but that's an option. What is something that you would like to change about your personality? That's an even deeper question, because some of us, we want to change a little bit about our personality. Some people, they don't want to be as outgoing. They don't want to be as loud and obnoxious. Other people, they wish that they could be a little bit more outgoing. That's me. My wife accuses me of being an introvert masquerading as an extrovert. In other words, I could be fine by myself, but I force myself to put myself out there and to talk to people and to hang out with people, that kind of thing. Because I'm just as fine just sitting on the lake on a boat by myself with a line in the water, going fishing and doing nothing with anybody else. I'm perfectly fine being by myself. But I would like to change that. I'd like to be a little bit more of an extrovert, somebody who is not afraid to talk to people the way that I really need to. Those kind of things. What is something that you would like to change about the world right now? Now, we're taping this in 2020, and we've got so much that we need to change. So much we need to change. Such as, I would love to change the fact that COVID is still here. I would love for that thing to disappear and go away completely and never return. I am so sick and tired of being at the house and not being able to go out and have fun with family and friends and go out to eat on a regular basis with people and just spend time socializing. Another thing that I would really love to change, and this is really top of my list, the racial issues that we're dealing with today. There's all kinds of debates and arguments, and there's injustices that are happening every time we turn around. I went to a Better Together meeting with our youth pastors here in the state of Alabama not too long ago, about a month ago or so. And got to sit and listen to a panel of young African American ministers and youth pastors speak on the racial issues that we are dealing with in today's society, and how some of them had even been racially profiled. And good buddies of mine, good friends of mine, one in particular that I spent a lot of time pouring my life into, and I love him to death, and now he's a youth pastor in one of the largest churches in our state, and he's a great man of God, I love him and his wife both. But as a 15, 16-year-old kid, he was racially profiled, pulled over, searched, sat on the curb because him and his buddy were leaving a particular neighborhood. That was it. I would love to change that about today's society. What would you want to change about today's society? The issues and the things that you would want to change. If you're going to make changes, the most important thing to remember is that it is going to be a process. It is going to be a process to get those changes to happen. Right now, we have a lot of people, they are standing up and they are shouting and pointing fingers and screaming and hollering, and they expect change and they want it now. They want it to change immediately simply because they have a voice and because they have a problem with what's going on. It's not going to happen that way. The way we are as a nation and the way we are in these different situations, we did not get there overnight, and we are not going to fix them overnight. It is going to be a process. My son has a shirt that says TTP. That goes for his football team. And it is trust the process. I'm sure there's plenty of other football teams out there to do that. We've got Nick Saban here in the state of Alabama, who he is all about the process and going through the steps to get to where he needs to be at and his team needs to go. Things are not going to just happen. God is a God of process. When it comes to our personal lives, sometimes we worry because we don't seem to be changing fast enough for ourselves. We're a microwave society. We want it to happen immediately. We want to throw it in there, put it, nuke it for 2 minutes, and then it's ready. We want a hot pocket society where we are ready to take it out and consume it immediately, even before it cools off. We want it right now. When it comes to fixing or solving or changing us, God has His own timetable, though. We can't expect Him to move the way that we want Him to. When you're working out, I would love to be able to go to the gym, and number one, to actually go to the gym, because I don't go to the gym right now. I'm sure you can't tell that because of all the flab and everything. But I would love to be able to go work out one time and all of a sudden, phew, them abs of steel just show up. And I've got that six-pack going on, or whatever you want to call it. I've got the six-pack, but it's covered up by an entire cooler, okay? But you want to change things immediately. I would love for that to happen, but it's not going to happen. I would love to change everything about me spiritually and change my situation, but it's not going to happen immediately. It's going to be a process that we have to go through. What are some things or some projects that you would like to finish maybe this week, or maybe this year, or maybe in your entire lifetime? I'll tell you right now, there's one particular project I'm wanting to finish this week, and that is to finish recording the rest of these sessions and to start on a new session, or on a new study. I would love to be able to do that by the end of this week and get things moving the way that I need them to. Something that I would like to finish this year, I've got so many other books that I want to read this year and study this year. I want to read Greg Rochelle's Dangerous Prayers. I want to read Simple Church. I still haven't read that, and it's an older book. I want to read all of these books. I want to read, there's a book called The Third Option by I'm trying to remember his name, but The Third Option that I want to read about the racial issues that we're dealing with today is by a pastor who used to play in the NFL. I want to read all of those books by the end of this year. I would love to be able to finish some of those by the end of this year. And then maybe in my lifetime, I would really love to be able to write a quality, strong, powerful worship song. Now, it's not going to just happen. It's something that I have to go through the process on. My wife got me to watching this show called Songland. And it was a real eye-opener on how they wrote songs and how they produced songs and how they put them together. And it really let me know the process, and the timing has to be right, and you have to go through the things and how to be able to look forward to those things. What are some things that you want to finish in your lifetime or this year or in this week? What are some of those things? Type them in the comments down below. How do you feel when you finish a project? I don't know about you, but for me, it's a sense of accomplishment. It's one of those situations where I have this, I don't want to say euphoric sense, but it's just a peaceful feeling that when I finish something, when I finish doing a video editing, or when I finish writing a message, or after I finish producing something, or after I finish learning a new song, I have this sense of accomplishment that just makes me feel good. That's how I feel when I get done. We are a project-oriented and based society. We are a project-oriented culture. We love goals, we love resolutions, and we love results. We want to get to the end of the road. We want to reach the tape at the end of the race so we can break through, and so that we can say, hey, this is what I've accomplished. This is what I have finished. This is where I have come to. That's what we want as a society. The Christian walk is not a finish line, though. This is where we get things mixed up in our personal walk with Christ. The Christian walk is not a finish line. There is no finish line to the Christian walk until we walk into heaven and we spend time with God for an eternity. Our Christian walk is an ongoing relationship with Jesus that is constantly changing and moving and being changed in our lives. It is a progression of growing and changing and embracing and replacing, of listening to God's voice and living out who He says we are. Let me say that one more time. It is a progression of growing and changing, of embracing and replacing, of listening to God's word, God's voice, and living out who He says we are. Let me ask you a question. Why are we in such a hurry to change? Why are we in such a hurry to change things in our own personal lives and to get things done? One of the reasons that we want to get things done quickly is because mistakes hurt. Mistakes hurt us. It hurts to think about all the stupid things I did when I was a kid. All the stupid mistakes I made in my life. All the stupid mistakes I've made this week. Maybe the way that I spoke to somebody, or the way I acted, or the way I handled a certain situation. All of those things, they weigh heavy on us, and they hurt to look and say, I have this bad habit. I know I'm changing subjects a little bit, but I have this bad habit of talking to myself. And when I feel like when I'm thinking of something stupid that I've done, a lot of times I'll talk to myself, and it's as if I'm watching myself do it, and I'll say, stop it, stupid. Don't do it. And I will literally talk to myself. I don't know why I do it. It's just something that I do. But mistakes hurt us. They are painful, embarrassing, and messy. When we make a mistake, let me state that again. When we make a mistake, we purposefully change so that we won't have to go through it again. Just like I made a mistake in reading that sentence right there. Normally I would go back and I would cut that out, but I'm going to leave it for that specific purpose today. It shows that I made a mistake. It hurts me to watch that and think about that. But we purposefully change that mistake so that we don't have to deal with that embarrassment and that pain again. The pain of our mistakes can actually be a gift, though. It helps us realize our potential for change. Here's your question. Does God ask us to change? Does God ask us to change in our life? The simple answer to that is yes. But then the next question would be, what are some of the things that He asks us to change about ourselves? If you could, comment down there in the bottom and tell me some of the things that maybe God has asked you to change. It could be the fact that He wants you to stop smoking. He wants you to stop drinking. He wants you to stop cussing. He wants you to to treat people better. He wants you to respect your elders. It may be that He wants you to change the way you dress and dress more modestly. It may be that He wants you to change your physical appearance as far as take care of yourself a little better and stop being a glutton or whatever. Okay? I know I'm one to talk about gluttony. But maybe he's talking about those situations. Maybe He wants you to change those. What are some things that He wants you to change? Most everything can be summed up with a very simple phrase. He wants us to walk by the Spirit and not by the flesh. Everything that I just mentioned right there, everything I mentioned is encapsulated in that phrase. Walk by the Spirit and not by the flesh. The most important question, though, is this. Why does God want us to change? Well, now, the Jesus Juke answer would be so we could be with Him forever in heaven. And that, while that is correct, that's not the only reason why He wants us to change. Some people think that He wants us to change for His sake, so that we can better represent Him. Listen, God doesn't ask us to change because it adds anything to Him. He is perfect. He is awesome. He is all-powerful. He is all-knowing. He is an amazing God, the amazing God, that does not need to change. So why does He ask us to change? We don't add anything to Him when we change and when we get better. It's not for His benefit that we get our lives together. Change is for our good. Our good. Not His, ours. Change helps us be better. Change helps us grow closer. Change helps us to grow further in our relationship with Him. We have a massive amount of control over who we become and what we accomplish. Our decisions decide those things. God has given us free will, and our decisions decide who we're going to be and how we're going to get there. We have a massive amount of control over that. We just never arrive as we think we will, though. See, we think we're supposed to show up at church or show up at the gates of heaven this way. And we're supposed to go here, 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 and here. We map out our entire life. We map out everything that we've got in front of us. And we go, okay, I'm going to go to school. I'm going to go to college. I'm going to get married. I'm going to have 3.5 kids. And then I'm going to, where the 0.5 comes in, I have no idea, unless you count the dog. But then you've got all these other plans. But a lot of times our plans get blown up because that's not the path that God has for us. That's not the process that He has set in front of us. Ironically, the more we change ourselves, the more we become aware of how much we still have left to change. The more we change about ourselves and the more closer we get to God, the more it shows up in our lives that we need to change. It's sort of like fixing up a room at a house. You go in there and you can slap some new paint on the walls, but then all of a sudden you get that new paint on the walls and it looks great. You're like, oh, that's a great color. It's perfect for this room. It opens it up, and then you get to looking around and you look at the trim. And that trim looks dingy now. And that trim needs to change. It doesn't match the color anymore. So I need to repaint it, or I need to take it down and replace it. So we do that, and then we step back and we go, all right, that looks awesome. That is incredible. The trim is looking good. The paint is looking good. And then we get to looking at the floors. Man, these hardwood floors, they've got, you know what? They've got so many scratches in them and so many dings. There's some dark spot over there from where the dog peed. And we just left it one day. I wonder, I tell you what, I need to resand these. And we start fixing it. And we start going through it. And we start changing those things. Every layer that we replace reveals another layer that needs to be changed. It's the same way in our own personal life. With everything that God God skims off of you. Everything that He shows you. He doesn't go in with a bulldozer and bulldozes your life out the side door. What He does is He goes in with a flashlight and He shines it over in this corner and says, hey, you want to grab that little bit of sin over there that you haven't dealt with? And then after we clean that corner up, He goes, hey, that looks good, but you know what? Look over here in this corner now. Now we've got this issue that we've got to deal with. We've got to deal with your anger issues and the way that you treat people. And then we start working on that. We get it cleaned up, and He goes, you know what? That looks good. You're doing great in that. But now you've got this issue over here where you're not really giving me your relationships. And He shines that flashlight on those relationships. There is always another layer that God is going to work with us in. And there's always change that needs to be made. Change is good. Change is necessary. And change is inevitable. Change for the sake of change is overrated, though. Just changing because there's a change that needs to be made is overrated. Have you ever been told to do something by someone in authority or someone who knew more about a subject than you and you just blew them off? Maybe a dentist or a doctor or somebody like that. What happened with those situations? See, I'll admit it. I've got a blood pressure issue that I take medicine for. It's not real bad, but sometimes I forget to take my medicine, and for a long time I just didn't take it at all. And I had a scare one day where my blood pressure shot up. It was so high I could not walk because I was so dizzy. Because I had blown the doctor off, I had blown the medicine off. I just said, I'll be fine. It's not a big deal. I've lost some weight. It'll go away. Well, next thing I know, my blood pressure is pushing 180, 190 over 110, 120. And the doctor was extremely upset with me and frustrated with me because I blew them off. When we know somebody knows more than us, we need to pay attention. When God points out things in our lives, we need to pay attention. One of the things we try to change in our lives is to discover new dimensions of our relationship with God. Now, not necessarily something you can check off your list, your to-do list, right? You can never arrive at the end of it. It's like I said earlier, that there is not a finish line with your relationship with God. If we are learning to rely on God more, we are accomplishing the ultimate goal that He wants us to accomplish. That's what we're doing. In Colossians 2:6, it says this, and now, just as you accepted Christ Jesus as your Lord, you must continue to follow Him. That is the whole point of this process. To continue to follow Him. What are some things that you would consider your first world problems? Battery going dead in your phone or in your laptop. Your car's check engine light is on. Those are all first world problems. What about first world sin problems? Little things that we consider sins. Maybe our temper or our pride or our addictions. Those little things. The things that we look at and we go, well, those are small things. They're first world problems. We tend to think that we have to be perfect before we can be an effective witness for God. I've heard so many people say, well, I'll start doing stuff for God when I get this right in my life, or I'll start going to church when I stop doing this in my life. God's not interested in that. You don't have to be perfect in order to be an effective witness. You don't have to be perfect in order to be an effective Christian. We are in the same process as every saint and sinner in this world, but self-perfection is not the goal of human existence. We shouldn't lose sight of what is eternal in our efforts to improve what is temporary. Let me say that again. We should not lose sight of what is eternal in our efforts to improve what is temporary. Sometimes our third words drive us crazy. We want these things fixed. I am a failure. I am stupid. I am ugly. I am struggling, I am this, I am that. We want those things fixed, but the problem is God may not have those things at the top of His list of things to do. He may have some other things in your life on his top 10. We think that our top 10 list of things that needs to be changed immediately. But God's top 10 list may not match up with ours. Sometimes he wants to get rid of some other areas of our life and get into some other areas of our situation. See, we want to get rid of the superficial a lot of times. The outward appearance of things. We want to get rid of the outside. When God is actually the one that looks on the heart, and he wants to deal with the heart issues first. Because if you just deal with the outside, what you're doing is you're cleaning up the outside, but the disease is still on the inside. You need to deal with what's on the inside and the problem on the inside first. It's sort of like when you're in school. You don't start off with high school trigonometry and geometry and all these other ometries when you're in kindergarten. Why? Because there is a process. You've got to start with this, move to the next subject, move to the next subject, move to the next subject, and grow in your knowledge. It's called layered learning. It's something that I'm striving to do right now, and it's something that's been recommended by a lot of leaders out there, is layered learning. You learn a subject, you learn a situation, but then you build on top of that, and you learn on top of that, and then you build on top of that and learn on top of that. It's like a leadership lasagna. And it's important that we remember that we have to have layered leading. The Bible talks about salvation in 3 primary tenses. When we put our faith in Jesus, we were saved. The first day we prayed the prayer, we were saved. Ephesians 2:8. For it is by grace you have been saved through faith. You have been saved. That is past tense. Then it talks about the second tense. We are also being saved. In 1 Corinthians 1:18, it says, for the message of the cross is foolishness to those who are perishing, but to us who are being saved, it is the power of God. That is the present tense. You are continually being changed every single day. Every single day, you are continually being changed and molded. Today, you are growing closer to God. You are being saved today. And then there's the last tense in 1 Peter 1:4-5. It says, we will be saved. The future tense. This inheritance is kept in heaven for you, who through faith were shielded by God's power until the coming of the salvation that is ready to be revealed in the last time. That's the future tense. We are already forgiven. We are already forgiven, but at the same time, it is a process where we are being changed and transformed every single day. Listen, God is working on you. Be patient. Trust the process. And let God work in your life. Change every day. And work every day to grow closer to Him. Let me pray with you. Lord Jesus, I thank you for everybody that's out there. I pray that you would be with them during this time, that you would take care of them, and that, God, you would let them know that you are continually working on them. I give you all the praise and all the glory in Jesus' name. Everybody said, amen. Listen, we love you. We're glad you were with us today. Please do me a favor. Go back, comment, subscribe, click the notification bell so that you know when we're putting out another video. We love you, and we'll see you next time.